Greed is the disease in America today. Everything else is just a symptom. That is why we have to come together because community is the opposite of greed. So that is what we are doing. We are building a community with these blackouts because right now we are all divided. They've divided us on purpose for decades. And really, what they've done is they've lied to divide. Who am I talking about here? I'm talking about the ultra wealthy, greedy corporations and career politicians who have fixed the game so that regular, hardworking Americans can never get ahead. Appreciate that share, Holly. The likes and shares at the beginning really help catapult us to that For You page. And what we're trying to do is just reach as many people as we can because everyone feels this deep in their bones. It's just we haven't had a way to fix it. We haven't had a way to come together until now. For those of us that have been feeling it for a long time, we had to wait until everybody else was ready for it now too. But with the way things are going, people are taking their blinders off and they are saying, we need a change. We need a difference. But first off, they're looking around going, what is going on? It feels like it was one way for a really long time. And then recently, the rug's been pulled out from under us. And that's been what's so difficult is people over 40, people over 45 or 50, their experience with the economy and with the American dream in particular has been so different than our generation. That is probably the biggest divide in this country between people who believe that if a company is successful, its employees will be too, and all of us that know for a fact that if a company is successful, it's going to do everything it can to extract as much value from you as possible and funnel it right on up to their shareholders because the entire goal is to keep us out of money so we don't have any security. This is a problem in America today. We are all lacking security. Let me define what security is for you. Security are humans' basic needs being met. Our basic needs are food, housing, and healthcare. Teresa, I appreciate you, but it's not a matter of believing. What I'm telling you are complete facts. 80% of Americans, over 208 million people, don't have enough for a couple $1,000 emergency. And if nobody has any emergency savings, what happens when that inevitable emergency occurs? Well, it affects all of us. That is exactly what it is. When one person, if everybody doesn't have any money, well, what happens when that inevitable emergency occurs? The rest of us end up paying for it. So that is the problem. And the issue is if our country didn't have enough money, that would be one thing. But when you look at the productivity and how rich we are as a country, then no, not at all, because capitalism requires a free market. That's what we are missing. That's where if you look around and think that this corporate states of America is an actual free market, then I've got a bridge to sell you. Because a free market would require local competition. Free market would require mom and pop shops to actually be able to compete with the large corporations. But what's happened over the last 40 or 50 years is you look around and there are no local general stores anymore. There are hardly any local grocery stores anymore, barely any local hardware stores. So you're not able to go and spend your money somewhere else and vote against these corporations. So what we are talking about here is the problem with, the problem really is people like Matt, who's just pointing fingers left or right, where no, not, I identify as an American, and that's what we all should, and your division is the problem. So 100%, Randy, so there are 1,000 little issues that they want us fighting over. So Matt wants to fight over identity politics, over whether we're left or right. We want to talk about, the money that we're sending. Well, everything that is happening is only because the ultra wealthy control our entire country. So that is what we are talking about here. So regular Americans don't have a say. That's really the issue, right? Is we go and talk to our politicians, nothing happens because the politicians don't work for us. We go tell the media, hey, what's going on? Media doesn't care. They don't work for us either. And then the economy has never really worked for us. That's always been for the ultra wealthy to have their playground. So, what happens when regular, hardworking Americans have absolutely no way to push back? Well, we have to build our own systems. We have to come together and say, hey, this is screwed up. Why are we not able to fix things? Well, because the political process is completely shot. Corporations and career politicians have stacked the rules so that they are the ones that are always winning. We know this. So this happened 40, 50 years ago, and it began with the loss of the free market. That is one of the biggest issues, because think about it. When you have 15 different local general stores, that actually protects you. Because if one of those stores starts trying to take advantage of you, if one of those stores cuts corners, is offering bad salaries, then what do? You go down to the other store and spend your money there. Well, that was the very first reason that the corporations got rid of all the local competition. We all saw it happen. Walmart went into the towns, lowered their prices, waited until all the local general stores couldn't compete anymore, and then they raised their prices right back up. Home Depot did the same thing to get rid of all of the local hardware stores. They came on in, they lowered their prices because of economies of scale. They took a loss for a little while to run out the local mom and pop shops. And then as soon as they had no competition, they looked around and said, all right, we can charge what we want. We can treat people how we want, because where else are they gonna go? So that's kind of the first issue, is that, and to put it succinctly, we don't have a free market. Over 85% of corporations on the S&P 500 have the same three top shareholders: State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock. Unfortunately, we can't with here. The camera doesn't flip on mobile, so I'm unable to. It says black out the system, and these really are, it's more for the visuals. So you're able to see here, there's the company, the people carrying the company, and he's sitting right up there. And then same right here. All these people are trying to hold on to their hard-earned dollars, and the CEO is just pulling it away. Because this is exactly what's happened over the last 50 years. Our productivity skyrocketed. I hate the word productivity, because really what we should say is we made a lot more money in the same amount of time. Except we didn't end up making more money. The CEOs and the owners and the shareholders did. So our productivity skyrocketed because of technology, mainly the internet, which all of our tax dollars paid for. And then we started making a ton more money. And then all of that money went right to the shareholders, right to the owners, right to the wealthiest people in our society, even though we were the ones doing the work. We were the ones getting more effective. We were the ones actually making the money. So if you look at our graph of our productivity over the last 50 years, it's like this. You look at a graph of CEO pay over the last 50 years, it's like this. And then if you look at worker pay and worker compensation, it's only gone up a very short, about 15 to 20%. So that's essentially all that's happened, is we started making more money, and the bosses just didn't tell us. They paid us the exact same. And, even though we started earning them more. And then rather than, once they were able to consolidate that power and get rid of, no, the problem is the whole system, because people will do anything as long as others are doing it too. And that's really what it is, right? People look around and go, well, I'm not the worst one. They're doing it over there. They invest in private prisons. The majority of our utility companies are private enterprises, for profit now. So, but we have to remember that all of these individual issues are part of the rigged system. That's really the problem, is that the ultra wealthy have all the money in our society, and then we've created a society where money equals power, right? We all know that. So if money equals power, then the people in our society with the money have the most power. Because the inverse of that would be freedom is only there if you have the choice, or freedom is only there if you can say no. Well, you have to have money in order to have choices. You have to have money in order to say no. And that's why so many of us are stuck, because these three corporations that control the entirety of the S&P 500 figured out that if they overwork and underpay all of us, that we'd never have the ability to say no. And it's like this, it's like, hey, I could stay at this company that's treating me poorly, but where at least I know that I'm barely able to afford food, housing for my family. Or I could take this risk and go work for another company owned by the same three corporations, and they might just screw me over so bad that I can't afford food and housing. So when like we are literally, it's so frustrating because it's like people go, oh, go get another job. Oh, go work somewhere else, do this or that. But when your choice is, well, stay here in this crappy situation and make sure I have housing and food, or potentially go to a worse situation where I might also lose my housing and my food, well, I'm going to stay in this bad situation. So we don't really have the ability for freedom, right? Because if we can't make those choices without being manipulated, then we're not really free. And that's the biggest problem, right? So, and what we are doing here is we are bringing people together. We are creating a community, because greed is the problem. Greed is the issue in our society. That's been one of their best tactics, is to hide the truth as to what the problem is. That's why they let all of these issues perpetuate. That's why they don't want to fix any of the housing crisis, the job crisis, the climate change, healthcare, anything like that, because they know that the more that we fight each other, that the more we point fingers left or right, the more that they'll be able to keep robbing us blind, because they want us pointing the fingers at anybody except for them, because this all comes down to money. And it sucks because we're the ones. What's really messed up is that they depend on us to do the jobs. I am an employer. I have a team of people, and I am so passionate about this because I figured out one day, holy cow, I couldn't do any of this without my team. If I am, oh no, not a business at all. So what we're doing is we're giving out free stickers. I'm just explaining why I am passionate about this, why I know for a fact that businesses could not run without their employees. And in fact, it should be a mutually beneficial relationship. Yeah, BK, when you got the email, you get an automatic reply that lets you know where you chose and things like that. It may have gone to your spam, but you should get an automatic reply. So, but no, absolutely, we're bringing awareness. What I'm saying is, as an employer, I see how I have made my money back. I am comfortable. And it's insane to me that I now rely on my employees to keep my comfortable life. So then, very long ago, my very first goal was to make my employees' lives as nice as possible as well. Number one, because it's just reciprocal. Oh, well, yeah, I worked really hard in the beginning to build this business. Then I brought you in. You were able to have this job and it worked well. You were good in environment. And then you were able to keep the business running while I was able to kind of go do what I wanted, right? And that makes me incredibly grateful for them. And so I go, all right, not only do I want to treat them like family because that's the right way to run a business and because that's the right thing to do, but it's also the smart way to run a business. Because if I'm making it so that my employees can barely afford food, if I'm making it so that my employees can barely afford housing, well, they're not going to be super focused on their job, right? They're going to be focused on themselves because it's like, holy cow, I don't have enough money to live. I'm really worried. so I'm going to be focusing on myself. It's essentially what's happened throughout all of America. People don't have any money. And it's crazy because the stock market goes up and up and up. But the employees' pay, the people who actually do the hard work, their pay has remained the same. But the company couldn't even create the product or the service literally without the employees. So that's where, back to what I was kind of talking about earlier, they've taken over every part of our society. They control the economy, they control the political process, and the final thing is they control the media. Because what they do is they purposefully underpay employees, and then they go to their media companies and go, all right, let's put out some information on how those employees are just lazy, on how 80% of Americans just forgot how to budget. You're right, they aren't even trying to hide it because they don't realize the power of community. Once they got us so twisted around that we were fighting over what actual facts were, they're like, all right, we can do what we want here. We got it covered. Pack it up, boys. Let's take the rest of this. But they don't understand that community is actually the thing we have to fight it. So this is where we can show it on October 18th. We have it again on November 25th. They are the greedy corporations, the people who have companies that are profiting them in the hundreds of millions or billions of dollars every single year, while they still have employees on public assistance. Essentially, the ultra rich are just taking advantage of the public good. They're purposefully underpaying their employees. They know that in the past, their employees would revolt against them and say, screw this, we're going to go work somewhere else. That's why they got rid of the free market. They can't work somewhere else when 85% of corporations are owned by the same three top shareholders. Then sorry, I lost my train of thought there. And money, it doesn't buy happiness, but it gets you damn close. That money buys us housing. Money buys us food. And then when we go and ask them for more money, because we're the ones that have been running their business, because we're the ones that are making them money, they tell us there's not enough. And that's why, Kush, the first thing that we are doing is we are changing the narrative. We are taking back the truth. Greed is the disease. It is not left versus right. It is up versus down. They are not the billionaires. They are the hoarders. We are going to use shared language and shared actions to create shared power. This is what we need to do. Come together and understand that the only way that we can win is if we get on the same page. The only way that we can get on the same page is by bringing people together, waking them up, shaking them out of this stupor, because for so long it's been like, Americans' institutions are there. We will be there. We will be there. We're going to be there in the end. And now it's like people are looking around like, oh, shoot, maybe we need to go do something about this. The analogy that I've been making is the foundation in the building is crumbling, but we are sitting there arguing about the color of the paint on the walls. This is exactly what we need to do, is realize that we are pointing fingers left or right, because really, what good does it do if you fight with any other fellow American? It's not really going to accomplish anything. It really only serves the billionaires. And all it does is it gets us farther apart from having a solution. And so that's what we're trying to do, is bring people together, show them that greed is the disease, that, yeah, there are a bunch of fires going on in America, but let's focus on the people with the flamethrowers. And that's the ultra wealthy, the 100 millionaires and the billionaires. So how do we actually do this? The strategy is, well, we need to talk about what people actually care about, because if we go through certain things, then it's just going to cause basically like a firestorm. Essentially, they've lied and propagandized so much that if we bring up anything to try to push back against people, just as you saw Matt came in here earlier, I'm just talking truth and go, oh, you're a liberal, aren't you? Oh, there's a problem here. And we immediately divide each other. Now, we need to make sure that anytime somebody tries to divide us by talking about any of the issues they want us fighting over, salaries, the economy, immigration, climate change, even the Constitution. I heard it yesterday. We need to understand that all of those things are meant to distract us from the overarching issue. The billionaires want us fighting about all these little problems so that we never get on the same page and realize they have been robbing us blind. So that's where we all have to start off with shared language and shared acts. That begins with the free stickers we're giving out. We've got posters that you can download on the website. And what we need everybody to do is talk to one person per week. Go recruit. We need to speak to one person per week about this, about the issue. No Kings is a great first step. Hey, did you hear about No Kings this weekend? See what they say about it. And there's your entry from there, because we all feel this. It just is, some people feel it while they're believing, not realizing what the actual cause is. Absolutely, Aaliyah, but the biggest issue is that we need a sustained, so it goes like this. Greed is the disease. So what fuels their greed? What fuels their greed is our hard work. If we don't go to work, then they don't make their money. But if we don't go to work, we don't have what we need to live. We don't have food. We don't have housing. We don't have electricity or water. So we have to figure out, before we can have this sustained pushback, we have to figure out that we need to build the systems that sustain us. Because even right now, if people push back, how long would they last? 5 days, 7 days? When their electricity gets cut off, are they going to start going back to work? When their boss calls and fire them, are they going to go back to work then? That's what's difficult, is that we have to have the systems in place first. And I think a cool way to do that would be to target individual companies, right? No, it absolutely can be, because that's where the third stage of this grief for our country is loss of hope. But honestly, once you see through the fact that, man, things look really dire, well, the only reason think about it. If they were smart, they could have hidden it from us. If they were smart, we wouldn't have ever gotten to this place. That's really what it is. If they were smart, they wouldn't have done it so brazenly that all of us have waken up. Because what they've really forgotten about is they've forgotten about the power of community. And they are banking on the fact that we are so divided, that we are so separated, that we will never lock arms and say F you to the people up top. 100% both sides brought us here. But that's where we need everybody to come together and say, we are fixing it. We are done with this. The only reason those sides are in power is because we, the American people, allow it to be. And if we can actually come out and speak as one and use the same words and the same language at the same time, there is no way that we can be defeated. This is exactly what we have to do. Is we've got to come together. We've got to speak up and say, we have had enough of this. And at this point, there are enough people that are ready for this change that we just need to find each other. We need to break the silence. It's like we're all in our own neck of the woods yelling for each other, but we're too far apart, so we can't hear each other. And unless we are connected, unless we are together, we will never overcome it. Absolutely, BKCs. That is awesome. That is one of our first goals as well, too, because it's funny, because all this mutual aid, all this community that we talk about, A lot of these small towns, which are a lot of times small towns in red states, they've got a crap load of mutual aid. They've got a ton of community. They just call it different words. They just use different names. But when Cheryl and Dave are having a tough time, they might not tell a lot of people about it, but a casserole shows up at their door. Maybe a check comes in their mail. That is mutual aid. Anytime that there is a natural disaster, we see it, people coming together. I got the generator. Well, I got the sleeping bags. Well, I got the food. Well, I got the land. That's all this is. That's all that we need to do. And that is what we're doing. We are using Blackout the Systems to grow the community, and the community group will grow and thrive with each Blackout the System. Like you said, Vance, we understand that we're not going to take down the system with it, but what we can do is alert others. What we can do is build a community. And once we build a community large enough to rival the rigged system, that's when we actually can make a difference. And here's how it happens. It starts with these lives. And then the lives, we build those up into community groups. We have weekend workshops so that people can learn what they are passionate about, whether it's food systems, whether it's trading and bartering, whether it's civic engagement. We will go from just having these conversations to having actual workshops. Then those workshops will move from virtual to real life. We will create state leaders, and in every single state, we will have these workshops happening. And probably my goal is like in just in a big park by the organizer. And then we will have these weekend workshops. We will have these community groups. Absolutely, Kay, because the civic engagement is what will pull us out of this. And those groups that we have, that'll be our community yard sales, our town halls, our chamber of commerce, our city council, our farmers markets, our swap meets, and we'll look at each other as humans again, and we'll look at each other as Americans again, because we're having face-to-face interactions, because we are there for each other, because what we are is we are localists. We believe that when owners and shareholders live in our community, that it works out best for everyone, because then the people who are selling the goods and providing the services have a stake in the community. And if you have a stake in the community, you're going to care about the services that your employees are providing. Ever wonder why all the big box stores, corporations, you go and try to talk to an employee and you just get a big eye roll and they're looking other places? Because they don't care, because their boss doesn't pay them to care, because their boss isn't part of a community. Okay, that is amazing. Go sign up. We need people like you. Free stickers are the first start. Then what we're doing once you sign up for the free stickers, right now we need two different things. We need people creating content. What we will do is we will send you a script, or we will send you a digital poster. We need you to make a video of yourself either reading that script or put the script up on text and send it back to us. Then we create a compilation video of all those being stacked together. So we need people, once you sign up for the free stickers, you can choose content creation and help us make those. The second one we need are digital poster designs. Digital poster designs are huge because they help us spread the word. Ones like this. This is one of my favorites because it shows immediately the problem. A bunch of people on a life raft. The billionaire there riding ahead. But Kay, this is where we are giving these out for free so that people can spread the word themselves, because this is amazing for us to have and talk about. But what we need here, this is one of my favorite too. There you go with the money bags, the person diving over it. What we need, phase 2, is you. It has to be all of us. So Kay, click here to take action now. And then once you click on the take action now, BKCs, we need you as our team facilitator to bring people on. You should reach out to us, and you can hop on. And as we're doing these lives, you can be our connector and say, hey, if you want to be a part of the team, because we need so many things right now. We need exactly, Kay said she offered beginner workshops on civic engagement. That is fantastic. We've already have that idea, but we definitely need more people because this is a team. And then we need people who want to just, we're going to send you a script, read the script, either take a video of yourself or put it on a poster, send it back to us. We're making a huge compilation video of all the different content that we're creating. And then finally, we need graphic designers. If you've got even the tiniest bit of Canva skill or Photoshop skill or whatever it is, we need to take these phrases and these slogans and make them pop. Because this is my graphic design. This is just words on paper. So we need somebody with a little bit better job than I can do, helping to create all these things. And we need everybody too, because I'd like to have 50 different people in each of your different art styles, because you know why? Your style is going to appeal to somebody in particular, that this is going to hit with somebody different than one of the other posters we showed earlier. And this is really how it's going to take off. Not only all of that, but we have partnered with so many other groups. We have partnered with so many other content creators that we need all these posters to give to these groups and content creators so that they are able to spread this message more effectively right now too. Right now, we've got 12 different groups and content creators, and we've got 15 posters. So I'm giving the same ones out to the same people when the whole goal is to try to make it unique, kind of have every single group linked by maybe one image, one poster, and then beyond that, they can either have their own or their different ones, because we need to be able to explain this, because it's great having people on the lives here. But imagine if all 50 of 47 people here, number one, if we went and recruited one person in real life, then we get people to start putting these digital posters up and lining those up. Then we've already got close to 70,000 free stickers out across the country. People are going to see this in real life online. They're going to be hearing about it from their friends. And then from there, it's just taking small steps together. So right now, the dates aren't on the stickers because we have multiple blackouts. So we don't want to print a bunch of stickers and maybe have some left over and then those be over. So once people are able to go to the website, then they're able to see the actual date for the next Blackout the System, because we just had one September 16th, and now we have one coming up November 25th. Yeah, we did have it for these, and then we learned our lesson. We were like, oh no, we have a bunch of these left over, but the date's on them. So we just blacked a bunch of them out. So, and then essentially the Blackout the System, we understand that it's going to take a huge community to actually rock the boat of the rigged system. The point of the blackout is to build the community large enough to actually be able to push back, to actually build the systems. Because remember, greed is the disease. What fuels their greed is our hard work. So we need to stop working or stop working hard. But in order to actually stop working, we need to build the systems that sustain us. We need food, we need housing, we need water and electricity. And in order to not go to work, we have to build the alternate systems that provide us those things while we are withholding our hard work to get rid of the disease, which is the greed. So we have to remember, it will not go away with this current administration. Number one, this current administration is trying to not go away. But number two, they are a symptom of the disease. They are not the cause. Yeah, it's been going on a big time, and they're a really big tumor that makes it really obvious, but they are a symptom of the disease. Because unless we had a completely captured economy where there are no small businesses that actually can compete with corporations, we wouldn't be here. Unless they had completely captured the political process through Citizens United and through decades of not listening to common people, we wouldn't be here. And then finally, if you think that we had a strong media and a strong fourth wall, we would absolutely not be here. Blackoutthesystem.com. The link is in the bio. If you click the little button up there, you'll go to the profile, and then you'll be able to click on it. I think so often of what's happened with Bolsonaro in Brazil and how they're like, no, we are not going to give this madman a platform to come back and try to take our democracy again. But because the billionaires own the media in this country and politicians are nothing but middlemen for them, they figured out that it got them more money essentially to put Trump back on television, to give Trump the platform. Remember when he was off of Twitter and we didn't hear about him for a little while and they weren't covering Truth Social? That's how it should have stayed. But this is such a perfect microcosm of the overarching issue is they make money off of our division. They make money off of things going to crap. So that's what they want to happen. Because the more that we are divided, the more that we are not basically anything that distracts us from the fact that the ultra wealthy are robbing us, they're happy with. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more about how they are robbing us. Because they have been doing it a very long time, but they tell us a lot of lies. BKCs, I'd love to talk to you after this. I think I followed you. Let me go ahead. So, controlling the media has been the most important thing that they have done because the biggest lie that they've told us is that we are nothing without the ultra wealthy, that we are nothing without the tech titans and the innovators of our society. That's why we're getting rid of those bullshit monikers, and they are called the hoarders from now on. Not the elites, not the billionaires, not the tech titans, the hoarders, because they take more than they need from people who don't have enough. Not only that, they're taking more than they need from the very people that are creating their wealth for them. Absolutely. This is like if somebody goes and you picked up a day laborer, and that day laborer came to your house and built something for you. And then not only did you not pay them, but then you went and you robbed from them because you knew there would be nothing they could do about it. Or it's like you walking out of your job after just making a job. Maybe you're not doing great, but you're doing all right. And going and robbing the homeless person after that homeless person did something to help you. That's what's happening because the owners, they need us. They need us deeply. And this goes back to, I am an employer. I know this. Because when I wanted to grow and expand beyond one single location, when I wanted to have 2, 3, 4 locations to be able to serve the community and provide more services, I could not be, and also make more money, I could not be in multiple locations at once. So I know it's crazy, right? So when I hired somebody else from the community, I was forever grateful to them because I'm like, no way. You're going to come work for me and you're going to do this job and it's going to make you money and make me money. This is such a cool, mutual, beneficial relationship. That's what this is. It should be a mutually beneficial relationship because they need us more than we need them. And I'll explain why right now. Because let's talk about what both sides bring to the table. What those billionaires and the ultra wealthy bring to the table is pretty much one thing. It's money. It's capital. That's it. Before the internet, before 1990, really like probably 2000, we needed them because there wasn't a way for a bunch of us to get a lot of money and use it towards a specific project. It just, we weren't that connected. Well, something come along that connected us all and made that a lot. Oh yeah, the internet, that thing that we all paid for with our tax dollars, it's connected us so that we don't really need their capital anymore, that we don't really need that ultra wealthy person to step in and help out. We can all pull it together and get that money ourselves. So technically, what those owners bring to the table, we can replace. Doesn't really sound like that we need them so bad. But then what's the lie that so then what do they bring to the table? What does that ownership class bring to the table? Well, I already talked about it. When they want to grow and expand, beyond what only they can do. When I wanted to stop working 12-hour days and open up a second location because I couldn't clone myself, I had to hire someone else. So they bring to the table capital, which we can replace. What we bring to the table is the ability to grow and expand, which they could not do without other people. That's it. And then really what it should be is anybody who is working 40 hours a week for a successful company should get their fair share. Not only is that a smart way to run a business, but it's the way that society should be ran, because if people perpetually do not get their fair share, then they will always be on the edge of financial ruin. They won't have any money in case of an emergency. And when that inevitable emergency happens, when something happens to any one of us, all of us end up paying for it. Let me put it to you like this. Right now, when somebody is underpaid, we blame that individual. We tell them that they should get a better job. We tell them that they should have more skills. We tell them that they should just move. But really, the problem is the job itself. Jobs shouldn't be allowed to be offered if they don't pay someone enough to live. What do we need to live? Food and housing. So if a job doesn't pay enough money for food and housing, it's a net detriment to society. It doesn't help anyone because that person's going to be working 40 hours a week and they'll never be able to make ends meet. So they have to go on public assistance, which we all pay for. So really, the billionaires could cover the cost of their health insurance for their employees. Walmart, I'm looking at you. But what they decide to do is they decide to shift the cost of the healthcare from their bottom line to the American taxpayer. And the only way they get away with it is they then go to the media companies and control the narrative and say, oh, it's not us wonderful corporations doing anything wrong. It's those lazy workers. They should just work more than 40 hours a week because no, people shouldn't deserve food or housing just because they're working 40 hours a week for a company that profits billions of dollars. They need to do a job that we as a society deem worthy of having enough for money and food and housing, or sorry, money and food for food, housing, and healthcare. But it's really so crazy. Because ultimately, what we're trying to do, the whole goal of this, is to get people to see that we're all products of our society. That the zip code you are born into matters more than your work ethic. Isn't that sad? That's really like the thing in America that I would like to fix. Why is it that the zip code you're born into matters more than your work ethic? Well, I'll tell you right now. Because the zip code you're born into determines what kind of skills and resources that you have access to. Why is that, you might say? Oh, because our schools are funded based on the cost of the house you live in. So let's go to this little baby. A little baby is born. I live in Baltimore. Depending on which zip code they're living in, 1, 2, 3 miles away from each other, they are going to have a drastically different childhood depending on that. Because one child will be born in an area where their house isn't very nice. And so since the house isn't very nice, they go to a school that doesn't provide a lot of resources. Thank you, Kush. That means a lot to us, man, or person. That means a lot to us because we want to provide that hope. What we're really trying to do is get people to see that greed is the disease. That makes you go, aha, yes, finally. Because before it's like, oh man, there's no hope. There's nothing we can do. Trust me, I went through the same thing. And then I was like, I wonder if people will want free stickers. 65,000 stickers later, I've got hope because I see that it's the same across America, that it doesn't matter left or right, black or white. We all feel this. And we're all looking around, just kind of waiting for something to do about it. And that's where this No Kings is coming up, October 18th. After that, we've got Blackout the System, November 25th. And it's about not only joining us, coming together, but recruiting people as well. We got like 6 weeks till Blackout the System. We need you to recruit one person a week in real life. That's it. One person a week in real life. That's how this grows. You give out the free stickers. You put up the posters on the site. You do whatever you can do to spread the word, because we all feel this. So many people just are out of energy and they're out of time to actually think about the truth. What's up, fellow? That is one of the biggest problems. They pump us full, like we all know it. You can go and you can watch Netflix and you can have a good life and you can go to work and leave and never hear anything about the problems going on in our country. But then here's one of my favorite. You stick this little guy up here, you stick this dragon up, people immediately start feeling it. But they don't want to think about it all the time because it's uncomfortable. Because like you said, Kush, even the people that know it recognize the system is effed, realize there's no hope, and go back to putting their head down, right? I know all this because I was the same way, y'all. You look up, you go, man, shit's effed. Well, nope, people aren't ready yet. We're ready now. We're ready. It's happening. You see it happening. It just is they are banking on us not coming together. Literally banking. And that's what it's all about, right, fellow? Is understanding that we will coordinate the national pushback together, that we've got the free stickers, that we have October 18th, that we have November 25th. But what it's also about is doing small things in your community every single day leading up to that, or just once a week, actually. You don't need to do it every day, just once a week. Because if we all do it once a week, it'll be great. One of those small things you can do is one of our partner organizations, Farm Fresh 24/7. Farm Fresh 24/7 is all about food security. Because when we push back, when we have that sustained pushback, and we are realizing that greed is the disease and our hard work fuels their greed. So in order to stop fueling their greed, we need to stop working, or at least stop working hard. Well, if we do that, we need to build the systems that will sustain us. And one of those first systems we need to build that will sustain us is our food. On top of that, I just hate that they've taken over our food right now. I am a huge proponent of soil health and changing the way that we have our food. But even then, it's also a huge tool that they use to keep the power over us. So what you can do, Farm Fresh 24/7 is not just about farmers. If you grow anything, you can list it. If you make anything, you can list it. If you basically offer goods, services, if you bake, create, you can list it up there and you can become part of this local economy. The other thing you can do is we've got a form letter that you can use to send to local farmers. And it just basically says, hey, here's this community, Farm Fresh 24/7. It's an app. If you go ahead and put your food and produce on here, I will buy from you. It's basically like a co-op, like a CSA. But rather than being formal, it's just like an app that you can buy goods and produce and all that stuff from. And really, one of the things they do is try to promote bartering as well, to get people to pay. Hey, don't pay in that physical money crap. Exchange goods and services. And this is just the start of it. It's using things like that. It's coming together, finding more ways for us to push back. One of the ideas is we got these free stickers already, is to call out all the corporate landlords. We should have, red stickers of shame on every single corporate landlord house. every single house owned by Blackstone. It's literally just pointing out the truth, because when they have divided us so much, and the goal of that division is to obscure the truth, then I know it's corny as hell, but the truth will set us free. The problem is, it's like, you haven't used this analogy in a long time, but I really like it. But it's like almost like everybody has blackout glasses on, and the blackout glasses make us feel good and make us feel nice. But when some of us take off the blackout glasses, we look around and our whole goal, we're not strong enough. Just the people who have the blackout glasses off, we're not strong enough. So no matter how many of us come together, no matter how loud we get, no matter what we do, we will never overcome the system without first taking off other people's glasses, helping them take it off. That's why recognition and spreading the word is the first step. It's like a crack in the dam. All of us who have our glasses off, we're the crack in the dam. But what we need to do is keep making that crack bigger and bigger and bigger, so that the rest of the people, the rest of the water, see it and feel it and understand that it's coming. And then one day we'll be going together and we're going to break through. And that fear that we all fear, that fear that we feel, where, you know why we feel that fear, you know why we have to take the jobs that we have, is because they can take away our housing. They can take away our food. They can take away our health care. So, yeah, you can't take a lot of risks when you don't have security. And over 80% of Americans don't have security because we don't have enough money. So if you are barely clinging to security. Oh, fellow, before I forget, BKC's was in here earlier, was doing great work connecting people. And, just maybe thought of somebody that might help us with that connection facilitator role, if they are still here. And of course, now I completely forgot what my line of reasoning was. They absolutely did take everything from us, because it's been so frustrating. I've wondered for so long why we live our lives this way. There we go. BKC's fellow citizens has been a huge facilitator and connector as well throughout all this. Essentially, everybody that I am talking about has been through fellow citizens. But it was great. What happened, fellow, is somebody came on early. Oh, Kay was here earlier. Kay, somebody we need to connect with. Popped up right away, said, hey, I give workshops and I've got a Substack all about civic engagement. And then BKC's hopped in and was like, yeah, we should connect everybody. And then, I'm good at yapping and doing all this. I'm not good at the organizational stuff. But essentially what we are looking to do is, during these lives, we're building out our team, right? I talked about it earlier, but not only do we need other movements, not only do we need people like Kay with the knowledge to help us spread the word, but we need people who are able to do things individually too. Content creators will give you a little script, either film a video of yourself reading it or just make a poster of it or something, send it back to us, and we'll make this huge compilation video of everybody saying the same words, of all of the same information getting across, because shared language and shared actions equal shared power. So we need people that can cut and edit videos. We need as many regular users as we can. If you're comfortable making some content, sign up, let us know. I just sent an email out today. This is how we do it. When you go sign up for your free stickers, you will have a choice of the options you can choose to be a part of. There's content creators, there's graphic designers, there's video editors. There's like 15 others, but those others are going to be utilized at a different point once we get more people like BKC's on the team to help us utilize them. And then we reach out to all the people. This is where we've gotten all this artwork, is from people that have signed up for stickers. They said that they wanted to help create posters. And then here we go. We got them being made, right? And then not only this is going to like some really, big people and followers too. where they are going out there, they're getting seen, they're getting spread, and it's really it's changing the narrative. Because when you are peppered with lies for decades, people are desperate for the truth. Started this 5 months ago, not knowing if anybody was going to listen, and we have over 65,000 stickers out across the country. People are desperate for the truth. We just haven't had a way to fight back until now. We haven't seen the path forward until now. Well, it's not left versus right, it's up versus down. Greed is the disease, and community is the opposite of greed. And the community that we need to build, it needs to have the systems that sustain us: food security, housing, healthcare, togetherness. Because some of the issues that's happened is they have not only, when you take our security, when you take our money, you take away our ability to build community. Because if you don't have any money, you're not going to have any dignity. If you don't have any money, you're not going to have any identity. And if you don't have any security, you're not going to be worrying about other people or trying to go meet other people and make everyone's lives better. You're only going to be worried about where your rent payment's coming from next month. This is why we quiet quit. This is why we're all so isolated. Because we hear about record profits every single quarter. And then meanwhile, we're like, oh, we're sitting here still scraping by. So we start quiet quitting. We start saying, screw you. We're not giving you all of our hard work. We're not giving you all of our skills. And that's where all of us together, pushing back as one. That's the only way it will happen. So, first step is coming together. That's what Black Out the System is all about. To give everybody that feels this a way to fight back. And we will black out the system as many times as we need to until we build a community large enough and organized enough to rival the rigged system. Step one, come together. Step two, so coming together, we will have built a civic force. This is 1,000 movements that all know this is the moment to build community, to come together, to create that civic force. Because that civic force, that will incite a culture shift. How do we incite a culture shift? Well, unfortunately, we've seen it with MAGA over the past decade. You all get people to say the same things. You get people to take the same shared actions, like those red hats, and you give them a common target, a common goal. George Carlin even had the bit about it. Oh, I hate it when people get together. They get groups, they get all these, they wear their funny hats, and they say, you're not as good. You can't be in the group. So we're going to incite a culture shift, but we are going to actually point it in the right direction, because essentially all MAGA did was take the same fear, pain, and anger that we all have and point it at the wrong people. Left, right, black, or white, when the only place they should have been pointing was straight up at the top. But we know the people up top have been running things for a really long time. That's why they really want to keep us divided, fighting about anything except the wealth divide, except the fact that we don't need them. Because if we all actually came together and realized how much money they had taken from us, it's $200,000 per person in America. It's even more than that. So the 1% have $50 trillion. So let me back up. The 1%, 3 million people, have as much money as 90% of Americans, 230 million people. The only way you get to that point is if a boss goes, $1 for me, $1 for 90 of you to split. $1 for me, $1 for 90 of you to split. Now, that's not fair, especially when the money is only there in the first place because we're doing the work. Think about it. The boss has a contract to build a house. That is for $100,000. Well, the boss then would get to keep $90,000 and all of the workers would split $10,000. But the boss didn't do any of the work. They have been comfortable and have more than enough. So why is it that the people who do the actual work don't get their fair share? Because the boss lies and manipulates to create it so that we can never, so that those workers can never get on the same page to push back. That's what this is. So that's how we got here with the 1% having as much money as 90% of us. Now let's talk about the overarching and how much freaking money this is. So for the owners, for the longest time going, $90,000 for me, $10,000 for all of you to split. $90,000 for me, $10,000 for all of you to split. What ends up happening is over 50 years, 1% of people has $50 trillion and 90% of people have $50 trillion. 90% and below. Basically, if you're worth less than like 2.2 million, you are in the bottom 90%, which is all of us. Then the part that they don't tell you is how much that $50 trillion is per person in America, per adult. Excuse me, I want to say the numbers exactly correct. So if you take the $50 trillion that the 1% has and you divide it by the 231 million Americans who actually built the companies, who actually built this country, who are the actual reason that the stock market goes up, you get $216,450 per person. What? $50 trillion that only 3 million people in America hold, and the majority of that is the top 1%, the top 20,000 of those 3 million people. You divide that 50 trillion by every single adult American in the bottom 90%, you get $216,450. And then you divide it by every single adult American, you divide that 50 trillion by 263 million people, you still get 190,000. What the F? You take what the 1% has and you divide it by every adult. 190,000. At first, I thought it was going to be like, oh, 18,000, $20,000. Okay, there's not that. Then you're like, what? And that's per household. So if you're married, you would get $216,000 and your spouse would get $216,000. Collectively, you would have $432,000 that has been stolen from you over the last 50 years. Talk about some damn security. I bet you'd be able to go move your job if you had that, right? Because you'd have some security. I bet you'd be able to go start your own business if you finally had some security. I bet you that the majority of Americans would stop worrying about all the little problems that the billionaires want us fighting over if they all had close to 500 effing grand in their bank accounts. This is what ticks me off. If everybody just got their fair share of this money, there's no way we'd be so divided because we'd all be a lot happier. Ain't that the truth? Well, it's not, the money going directly into your pocket. The way that would be, we could have high-speed rail crisscrossing the entire country. We could have it so that, all the extra money goes to the ability to start small businesses so that we actually have some fight up against the corporations. That money could go to retrofitting parking lots at farmers or at grocery stores to be farmers markets so that people can actually go and sell their own goods and services. It just is absolutely insane, the amount of money and wealth that they have taken from us. And I just believe that, if we can frame it in a way that it actually hits the people where it matters to them. I know what I say is pay down the debt, fund the infrastructure, and pay the teachers. I don't care where it goes. Just don't make it so that the effing billionaires are sitting there and using it to control us. You weren't removed specifically, Rosebud. The whole thing was shut down, I believe. So, and then the nowhere, it's like the third spaces as well too. I think that's really, what we were talking about, fellow citizen, was trying to create that third space, because we don't have a place where we can just come together and be humans. So therefore, when we only have these rectangular, black mirrors, we don't even see each other quite as humans. So I always try to say my face, hey, my name's Corey. Nice to meet y'all. Because when we see each other's face, I love it, because people can be having this contentious conversation, and then as soon as you see each other's face, then it is, oh, hey, how you doing? You start putting on, you just speak differently. And that's where the entire goal, and, kudos to fellow citizen for helping, flesh out this idea, is we want to take these lives, move them into weekend workshops, into community groups. And then as those community groups grow and develop, we have them move from online into real life. And we're just able to build what we need. We're essentially saying, no matter how much we howl at the moon, the system is never going to change for us. So what we really just need to go and do is build our own. Or I guess a better thing would be, no matter how much we talk to them, they're never going to give us a seat at the table. So what we really need to do is build our own table. That's what this is about. And so it starts I'm so sorry, Rosebud. Yeah, that was definitely not the intention there. We do apologize, but it is one of those things where we will be back stronger than ever. And it's, the movement's still less than 100 days old. I think about that all the time, or we're probably right around 100 days old right now. So we're still ironing some things out and figuring it out, but we do have a great roadmap for phase 2. Phase 2 is you. And then the next step after that, we are taking these lives, we're going to turn them into community groups. The community groups are going to be a place where we can come together. We can have workshops on civic engagement, on food security, on language as a tool. And then as we build those community groups up, we take them from online into real life, because that is literally the only way that we can become cohesive enough to actually win, is to look at each other and say, you're a human, I'm a human, we're not that different. Let's focus on the things, because I think that's, it just kind of hit me. When we're on these black mirrors and these phones and these black boxes, our whole goal is to find what separates us so that we can push back, so that we can kind of like highlight and try to convince the other people so we can argue. But when we get in real life, the goal is to connect, right? We're not as contentious. We see the other person as a human. I heard Pete Holmes say something so great today. He goes, I like to think of other people as just another me. Oh, that me over there is doing that. Oh, that me is living in that state. And it really puts it in where it's like, yeah, we're all not that different. We're all someone's child. A lot of us are someone's parent. We're all someone's friend. Somebody cares about all of us. I remember driving down the highway as a kid and seeing all the cars go by and thinking to myself, every single person, every single car has a person, and every single one of those people has somebody else that cares about them. And that's really what we're trying to do, right? Is show people that we all deserve to be humans. And so then we should figure out what connects all of us humans. And how do we give people what they need to be a human? Well, to give people what they need to have security. They need to feel good. Or not feel good. They need to have security. They need to have their needs met. That's where I think, fellow, just to put you, I think it came on this yesterday, was security is where your baseline needs are met. But if you only have security, then when something happens, your baseline needs will not be met. So that's where we don't only need security, but we need prosperity, because then prosperity helps us have security in times of emergency. So that's where really we're seeking out prosperity for all. The first step to prosperity is to achieve security. And I think the only way that we can achieve security, which is essentially getting food, housing, and healthcare for all, is by showing every single person that we're all just products of our society. Let me do a quick hit real quick. Free stickers, go sign. Oh, sorry. Free stickers, go sign up on the website. When people see these in real life, they'll be like, oh, shoot, somebody's doing something about this. Awesome. I'm going to go get free stickers too. Yeah, it's like Maslow's hierarchy for societies. That's really all we're trying to do. I see a fellow education major. Boom, 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 boom. That means so much to me because that's really what it is. It's like, all right, so what's the point of a society? Well, the point of a society is so that all of us can come together and that all of us can basically achieve. There you go. Oh, it was you. So there you go. Okay, I knew that would have come from you anyway. The goal is for the majority of us to achieve security. And then the goal after that is that if the majority of us can achieve security, we move on to obtaining prosperity. But the only way we can do that is by if we have the skills. Well, the only way we can have the skills is that I even just saw it today, is that even two twins, genetically equal, when they go to different schooling environments, they turn out completely different. And that's what this is really all about, right? Is pointing to people that, hey, you can't just tell someone that they should go and get more skills when the main place that we deliver skills to people in this society is through their education, through their schooling. And children don't choose where they go to schools. The school system that we have is so incredibly unequal that your zip code determines your success in society more than your work ethic does, because the zip code gives you shows you what resources you have access to, and then what resources you have access to determines the level of skills that you've received. And so it's so crazy that when someone's 18, 19, 20 years old and they're out looking for a job, well, the area they were born into, there's no good jobs there because there's not expensive housing. And if there's not expensive housing, those schools aren't well funded. And if the schools aren't well funded, they aren't going to churn out good students or good, employees. So there aren't any jobs there. But then that individual didn't ask to go to those schools. That individual didn't ask to be born in the zip code they were born into. They are simply a product of the society that they did not choose these options. So therefore, then when that person gets 18, 19, 20 years old, we then blame them. Thanks, fella. Have a good one. We blame them for not having the skills, even though it was the schools that they went to, determined by the zip code that they live in, that decided whether they got those resources and skills or not. We have to show people that we're all a product of our society, because the same way with the rich people, what is crazy to me to think about is that Bill Gates would not be a billionaire if he was born in Florida. Isn't that funny to think about? So if the state you were born into, nay, even the time that you were born into, is the main decision, is the main influence on whether you become a billionaire, why are we over rewarding those people? Because it's insane, right? Because basically Bill Gates was born in the Pacific Northwest in the tech area of the time. His dad was super rich and famous. He had the money, or not famous, but a big businessman in the area. They had the money, they had the startup. Then they went and stole the technology from another company in the area. So if Bill Gates was born in Florida, we would not even know his name, right? Same with Elon Musk. Elon Musk didn't invent anything. He didn't invent the car. He didn't invent the electric car. He took one thing and added to it. So in a long line of technological and societal innovations, these billionaires take one thing and they add to it. Bill Gates didn't invent the computer, didn't even invent software, didn't even invent operating systems, simply created the correct operating system at the correct time. You get a little bit lucky. We're all products of our society. But because this system protects itself and says, no, you can't ever look at the fact that if somebody doesn't have enough skills, that's because the skills they received in school was subpar. And the determining factor over whether the skills you receive in school are quality or not is the price of your home. And that's not determined by the child. That's determined by all of us, how we fund schools. But then when that child does not get the resources that they need, we blame them. So we've got to come together because so many people feel this. The more people that we can spread this message to, it will grow. So go sign up for free stickers. What we need is that if you are part of a movement or if you know a movement, we are looking to connect because it has to be all of us pushing back together. We're coordinating national pushback while asking you to maximize your local impact. And then follow up to that, we also need, when you sign up for free stickers, we just sent an email out today, so we'll probably get one. What's up, Mayday? So we'll probably get one in a couple, send out another one in a couple days, but we need 3 groups of people. We need people that create digital posters. We've got all these sayings, we've got all these phrases. We need to put them on digital posters just like these so that people can spread the word. Community is the opposite of greed. They're not the billionaires, they're the hoarders. It's not left versus right, it is up versus down. Greed is the disease. Everything else is just a symptom. So we need people that are graphic designers that can help us create those posters. We need people that are good at video editing that can help us chop a bunch of those posters together. And then finally, we need people who want to create content, even if it's just you talking to the camera real quick. We will give you the phrases to say, greed is the disease, everything else is just a symptom, because it is not left versus right, it is up versus down. We'll give you what to say. We just need you to either record yourself saying it or write down a note or do whatever you need to do, send it back into us, and we'll make a huge compilation video of all of us saying it, because shared language and shared actions are shared power. Is shared power? Is shared power. And that's what we're creating, right? Because if any one of us put just one little sticker up, it's not going to do anything. There you go, Kay. Go right ahead. That's where we're trying to get it and compile like any content that you can. But then we need some video editors out there help us put it all together. But yeah, that's where we're trying to create that content. We'll get it up on the main page. We'll spread it out because the whole point is this, and I got to get going after this one. We're trying to light the spark. The way that I light that spark isn't going to be the same way that Kay lights that spark, isn't going to be the same way that BKC's lights the spark. And the spark that we all give off, the light that all of our flame gives off, that will hit everybody different. Somebody might see mine and be like, oh, that's stupid. But then they see what the song, the beautiful song that Kay creates, and they're like, whoa, that hits me. And that's all it is. And then we just want them to hit them enough so that then they go, well, what can I do next? And at the end of the video, it says, sign up for your free stickers. Because we are all pushing back together. We've got the next blackout coming November the 18th, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I think we had 4 news articles written about blackout the system on September 16th to 20th. Well, I think our goal is going to be like 20 news articles. I want to get some of our phrases in the articles. Gosh, all I wanted to say is there's this wacky group, and they're saying they're not the billionaires, they're the hoarders. And it will spread like wildfire because everybody knows this. We all feel it. We just haven't had a way to fight back. So the free stickers, we've got over 65,000 already out across the country, because just one of them, they're not going to do anything. But when I think I probably got 400 packed right here, and each of these bad boys has 5 in it a pop. So I got 2,000 stickers just going out tomorrow. I got like 4 other same size piles. I just can't hold any bigger. And this has been happening for weeks and weeks and weeks. I guess that would turn into months now. This has been happening for months on end. It's not slowing down because they're waking more people up every single day. So go be a part of this. Go sign up for free stickers. If you're able to do more, please click the I want to be a part of this and do more. We will get everybody linked up. Now my pile's falling over. Sorry, y'all. We will get everybody linked up and together, because the opposite of greed is community. So appreciate you all so much. I am going to get going. We'll possibly be back on later today because we got lots and lots of stickers to pack. And for those of you that we connected with today, please reach out. Sign up for those free stickers. We need as many people as possible. Spreading this word. Appreciate you all so much. Have a great rest of the day.